football over and just not making good decisions. You have a team in Utah early, right now. The first series they get the football, they've got to get the offensive line, getting their confidence going, and I think that's going to help Brian Johnson settle down. He's a very mature young man for an 18-year-old. He's a sophomore. He's very mature, and I think he's more than capable of turning this thing around.
Let's get more of those pregame thoughts. Go back down to the field, and once again, Aaron Ayers.
Well, Mike, as you mentioned it, Utah in a very unfamiliar spot. It's something they haven't experienced since October of 2003. Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham said it perfectly. The loss to TCU was the kind that rips your guts out because of all the time his team had invested. But his message to his team is this: it's not over. In fact, he still thinks they can win the Mountain West Conference because he doesn't think there's a single team that will go undefeated this year in that conference. Mike, as you know, players and coaches saying it's very crucial to see how they respond tonight.
You got it, Aaron. Utah will have its defense on the field. First, our Bud Light starting lineups with the Air Force offense. Sean Carney, the quarterback out of Ohio. You're going to love this guy. He can throw it and run it with Hall Handley. Ryan Williams starts at fullback, but you'll see plenty of Jacoby Kendrick. Meantime, the receivers are small in number because of the wishbone set, but they've been more plentiful of late. Jason Brown out of Colorado and McMenemy, the tight end. Up front, this is why they've been so good. All five of these players returning starters. Cray, Hufford, John Wilton, the best of the bunch, one of two captains on that offensive line. That's the Air Force crew that will start it. Utah will open it up here with the kickoff, moving right to left. Louis Sakota ready to boot it away, and off we go from Salt Lake City. A short kick that Hollis had to run up on, and he returns it to the 27-yard line. Grady Marshall made the tackle. So let's check the Utah defense that's coming out to the field. Puccinelli, Tavalo, and Afiaki are very important, but Steve Fafita is going to move around on the defensive front. One of the best tackles. You may see him a little bit outside tonight. Kyle Brady comes in and starts. Get a more athletic player with Giannone and Spencer Toon, one of the better linebackers in this conference. And the secondary looks a little different. Three safeties because Air Force only plays one wide receiver. Eric Weddle, the coaches said, could have like a 15 tackle night tonight, and that would be a good thing.
Yeah, free safety Eric Weddle for Utah is a guy to keep an eye on against this wishbone attack and the way they will come at them all day running a triple option.
Opening drive to start from the 27-yard line. And Carney hands to Justin Handley, one of his halfbacks, gain of just a couple. Steve Tate makes that tackle, and Tate is in the lineup only because they're playing Utah, and they need an extra safety on the field. Under Armour advantage tonight, Kirk.
Well, for Air Force, they have got to maintain the balance that they've had in 2 of their 3 games. And I also think that it's a team that has had the ability setting up the pass by having the option game going. And for Utah, it's very simple. Discipline, knowing your assignments on stopping the option and not getting out of place.
The ball comes out on the attempted handoff by Carney, and he has to fall on it. Ryan Williams, the fullback there, is not the normal starting fullback. Jacoby Kendrick missed a couple of days of practice, so he didn't start. And the very important exchange between the fullback and quarterback doesn't work there.
Mike, the snap is fine. It's just with the option. When you have a backup fullback in, there was a miscommunication between the quarterback and the fullback. And we'll be talking about that all night long. The infamous mesh point between a quarterback and a fullback with a triple option.
That was the 8th time Air Force has fumbled this year. They've recovered most of them, but that's where they're much better. Jason Brown the catch. First down across midfield into Utah territory at the 47. A gain of 22 before Ryan Smith, the sophomore, makes the tackle.
Well, Ryan Smith, even though he is undersized, has matched up against bigger receivers before and done very well. Air Force feels that with Jason Brown that they have a matchup that they like. He is 6'4", 225 pounds, and watch Carney throw the football, Mike. It gives you a really good indication of how quick his release is and how accurate he can be by throwing the football. That's the balance that we talked about from Air Force.
What a difference.
It's a totally different look.
Here's a great look at the triple option. The quarterback handed it to the fullback, and Ryan Williams, the sophomore out of Dallas, Texas, rolls forward. A gain of 11. First down. John Wilton, the center, paved the way with a nice block.
There are so many different variations to the triple option. And talking with Chuck Peterson, the offensive coordinator for this complex scheme, he was trying to coach me up this afternoon, going over different variations of formations. And there's a midline option we'll talk about, and there's the true triple option. And Carney has mastered it even as a sophomore.
The fullback Williams, lots of room to run. Ryan Williams down to the 1. First and goal for Air Force. 34 yards, and when your fullback is rolling, then everything can be available to you as a triple option offense.
Mike, this is interesting because typically what you want to do is you want to read this guy right there for the quarterback. Now, if he's in a position where he gets a little bit in between, they're going to double team him. And that's exactly what they did. That is not a read. That is just a simple give. They double teamed him, and the fullback showing some great acceleration, Ryan Williams.
And Williams will take it in the final yard. No official signal yet, but it looks like he's laying in the end zone with the ball. And it is a touchdown for the sophomore from Dallas. Terrific drive. 6 plays and 73 yards. Fisher DeBerry just pointing there at Ross Weaver. What a terrific block he did on that long gain to help set up the touchdown.
Just talked about Utah coming off an 18-game winning streak, how important it is, especially for their defense, to start fast, considering how the game ended against TCU. Air Force doesn't care. They came out very determined, converted the big 3rd and 9, which is sometimes hard for them to do, but converted the 3rd and 9, and then the fullback. Boy, I'll tell you what, Ryan Williams is a backup, the sophomore from Dallas.
Wow.
Just carried the Falcons on his back on those last 2 plays.
Extra point knocked home by Scott Eberle. A missed extra point snap is really the only thing keeping Air Force from being undefeated. And they make a statement on this short week with a 2-minute 22-second touchdown. Ohio, Sean Carney led that 6-play drive that ended up in Ryan Williams' first career touchdown as he took it in from 1 yard.
Well, Carney looks really in command of this offense in his 2nd year. Of course, last year as a freshman, he took care of the offense and did his best as he could running the offensive scheme. But this year, with a year under his belt, I think the coaches know what his strengths are. He now is in command. He's reading the option to perfection, making great decisions, and of course adds the element now to throw the football. The balance makes it that much tougher to stop the option attack.
The big leg of Ryan O'Day will send it, Kirk, through the arms of Brent Castillo and out of the end zone. A touchback. So the Bud Light starting lineups for Utah on offense, and there'll be a penalty marker, so we'll probably get a re-kick. Brian Johnson, the sophomore quarterback, who's 18 years old. Quinton Ganther averaging 4.5 a carry, coming back from cramping problems last week in Texas. The Tendrous, Brent Castile, the freshman, back there for the kickoff. He can run it. You'll see him a lot in the option and catch it. With Madsen and Brian Hernandez, who's the 4th receiver tonight. Up front, they're all veterans. They're all pretty good. Jesse Boone's the best in the middle with Chipola, Dirk Mott, Pettit, and Jason Boone, Jesse's brother, the sophomore right tackle. Kyle Whittingham's team will get a re-kick on the kickoff by Air Force as the Falcons were offside.
Mike, you asked me about the mindset of Utah, but forget before the game. You know, how are they going to be mentally coming into this game after an 18-game winning streak getting snapped in the way it did? This is not the way Kyle Whittingham envisioned the game starting. 6 plays, now you're down 7-0. It's imperative that Brian Johnson and this offense get off to a good start, because this is a team right now. It's in kind of uncharted waters at this point.
This is not last year's team.
Not at all.
And there's so many players gone, and that edge is gone, and it even carries over to the fans. There is not the buzz. We've been here multiple times that Utah run, and the buzz pregame just not there. This time, Castile can return. So the penalty will cost Air Force about 10 yards. It comes out to the 30-yard line. Mark Carlson for the Falcons made the tackles. Here's that Air Force defense that we'll check for you as they play usually a 3-4, but they've been a lot of 4-3 this year. Gilberto Perez has led this team in tackles for loss with 4. A couple of linebackers, all of his friends call him OT. Overton Spence is the best of this bunch. And in the secondary, they play a Falcon position. It's really another name for a safety, right, Kirk?
Yeah, it is. And especially against this Utah attack, the spread attack versus the option, it's a hybrid between an outside linebacker and a strong safety.
Denny Poland will be the one to watch there. They open with 3 defensive linemen for this first Utah play. And Johnson to the air right away, caught by Latendress, and Travis takes it for a gain of 5 to the 36 in front of John Tybee. Well, we got so familiar with Alex Smith in this offense last year. You got a in-person look last week against TCU at Brian Johnson. What did you think of him after that game?
Well, I think the potential of Brian Johnson is outstanding. You have to continue to tell yourself that he's only a sophomore. You cannot compare him necessarily to Alex Smith and what Alex Smith was doing last year.
Ganther the carry for a yard or so, and here's Aaron real quick. Go ahead, Aaron.
Hey, Mike. Well, remember yesterday Kyle Whittingham telling us Air Force will jump out in the first quarter, which is what they've done already. He said you really have to hold on because they are capable of doing anything in the first couple of series. It's dangerous to get too aggressive right away, Utah. So Kyle Whittingham knew exactly what was going to happen here in this first series.
They're very used to playing Utah, and as we mentioned at the beginning, very close games over the years. 3rd and 4, complete for a first down to Brian Hernandez. So Hernandez moves up to the 4th wide receiver for this Utah team, replacing Rufano Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa will play tonight, but Hernandez gets that credit.
You asked me about Johnson, and what I took out of that game is, even though he didn't play a great game last week, it was just his poise. And this is very simple. When Utah has the football, what they need to do, I put a quick start down before the game even started and have an opportunity to try to spread Air Force's defense all over the field, throw the football, and then get the option game going.
The triple option becomes the pitch back to Castile. Terrific block on the edge by Hernandez. Air Force wanted a flag. A first down picked up by Castile. 18 yards on the game.
Yeah, both these defenses are familiar with defending the option. Same principles, it's just a different look. Utah, of course, is going to be out of the shotgun, making reads, and you're going to see Tybee, who's familiar with this look, 31, coming from the left of your screen. He fakes down, and then he comes back to Johnson. Johnson, very heady, takes a shot, but makes the right read, and then has the presence of mind to pitch it out for the big gain to Castile.
There was a legal block on Chris Sutton. Just the way he was twisted, it made it look like he was brought down with a grab. Nice job by Hernandez. Good opening drive here from Utah that picked up a couple of first downs. That one looked to be a mistake. And they'll lose yardage from it as Tybee forced it inside, and he comes up with the play.
There was confusion without a doubt. I think Dirkmaat, the left guard, got confused, and he pulled from the left side going to the right as a lineman, and the backs and the quarterback were looking to run that triple option with the shovel pass to the left. So confusion there. But Brian Johnson, I think the thing you're going to see tonight, the thing if you haven't watched him play a lot of football, is for a young guy, he's very poised and makes, for the most part, very good decisions with the football, whether he's running the option or passing.
That play was a loss of 5. 2nd and 15. Again, a 3-man front from Air Force. 8 are covering, so Johnson has to wait, be patient, complete it. Just a couple of yards shy of the first down to Latendrous. John Rabel in there on the stop.
Mike, last week, TCU, how many times did we see him rush 3 or rush 4, drop everybody back, trying to make Brian Johnson show his patience? TCU had a very good defensive plan because in a zone, they were spread out, and Utah couldn't find any openings. This time, they were able to find openings, and Rabel made a mistake in getting pushed to the outside.
3rd and a couple, kept by Johnson. Late pitch will be enough with Castile for the first down. Is shy of the 25-yard line. Good job by Johnson. So many decisions for both of these teams fall on the shoulders of these sophomore quarterbacks tonight.
And it happens so fast. I mean, this is a small thing, Mike, but when it's 3rd down, you need perimeter blocking. And Latendrous made a block, but more importantly, Hernandez right there on Sutton made a key block, just enough room to spring Castile loose for the first down.
7 plays on this drive, and Brian Hernandez has caught one and had 2 key blocks thus far. A pump and go for Johnson into the middle. Latendrous has it 1st and goal for Utah at the 7. So Utah walking it right back down the field.
What I'm seeing right now is a mismatch with the skilled people of Utah against the Air Force secondary. The athletic ability of the wide receivers and running backs going up against this Air Force secondary, it's night, and the linebackers, it's night and day, the difference. The key is throughout this game is going to be if Johnson has time to throw, he's going to find mismatches to his advantage.
The 18-year-old out of Baytown, Texas. Perfect thus far on the night. you get a little bit of what he sees. The shovel was taken, pitched to Castillo, and it'll lose about a yard. Bobby Giannini, the sophomore out of Illinois, Hawthorne Woods, came up to make the play. We're the Mountain West for two teams that played last week. Air Force losing last Thursday night in overtime in Fort Worth to TCU. Or rather, Utah did. Air Force playing on the short week. They played Saturday and lost a heartbreaker to Wyoming. So a little bit of a leg advantage could be in Utah's favor as the night goes on. And if this game is close, and they have been almost every year the last 10 when they've played. Johnson, designed run for the quarterback. Inside the 5. And it'll be about a yard and a half shy. Giannini again in on the tackle.
Time, Mike, you're right. It was predetermined what Brian Johnson wanted to do with the football. He knew that his speed and the scheme and the way they have the Air Force defense on their heels at this point, and he's going to be able to utilize that athletic ability and try to get to the corner.
For all the eye-popping numbers they put up last year, the ability to run was so important. They spread him out for the 11th play of this drive. And they stayed a block on a designed run again. Johnson to the end zone. Utah answers with its own touchdown.
Well, it's pretty obvious that this is the drive that they needed. Nice long drive to be able to get their confidence back and to get the rhythm back in this football game. But what they did there, Mike, throughout the entire drive is they had Air Force guessing as a defense. When they would think they thought maybe they're going to try to run the ball, they were throwing. And when they thought they might be throwing, they were running all the way up into that final drive. And that is Utah football, being able to run the football down inside that 10-yard line. That's what separates them from some of these other spread attacks.
Dan Beardall, the extra point. 11 plays, 69 yards, all square and 7. It's opening drive on this spectacular evening in Salt Lake City. Temperature in the 70s as we get close to kickoff here tonight. Should stay there the rest of the night. So good productivity on those third downs led by Johnson. It's a 7-7 game. And the return for Air Force from Ollis. He takes it out to the 28-yard line. Well, as Reese told you at the very top of the broadcast with Mark and Desmond back in the studio, because of Hurricane Rita heading towards the Louisiana-Texas border, our college football primetime presented by Polaroid will move. Instead of Saturday night, Monday night, 7:30 Eastern, over on ESPN2. Huge game, Tennessee LSU. So again, ESPN2 Monday night, 7:30 Eastern. It goes without saying our thoughts with all of our friends back in the Texas, Louisiana area. Another set of headaches to deal with. The regular fullback is back in the game and already has picked up a first down. That is Jacoby Kendrick. He's out of Texas from Midland.
Boy, these fullbacks are beautiful from Air Force. We're talking so much about Carney and what he can do by throwing the football. But, Mike, you know, and we talked about this morning, the importance of a great fullback in a triple option attack. That's the #1 ingredient if you want to be able to run the triple option, because everything else plays off of the fullback's ability to get up the middle. Because what happens, Mike, is that defense has to be aware of the fullback, and they have to stay in there, which sets up the quarterback run and the pitch and the play action. The fullback's the key to this offense.
This one will be a pass. Carney is brought down as Fafita and Toon, the leaders of their team, lead half the defense to sack the quarterback. That is a rare sentence when broadcasting an Air Force game. Falcon quarterback is sacked.
Well, what I was impressed with was Spencer Toon coming up thinking he's going to see the option. And what he does is, in filling the void here, he does a nice job of coming up thinking, he's thinking run initially. Then he goes right back and is able to come in and make a play. That's great instinct there by Toon to come in and make the big sack.
2nd and 15, a throw to Jason Brown. Tall wide receiver brought down at the 42-yard line. Once again, it is Spencer Toon on the tackle. Talked about the fullbacks and his importance. So over the years, the halfbacks have been the ones to get the lion's share of carries. So far this year, because Jacoby Kendrick's so good, it's been more fullback dominated.
Kendrick is going to get you big yards this year for this offense. And as I said, Carney is, I think, their second best runner right now at this point in the season.
3rd and 10, not an automatic pass down. If you watched Air Force over the years, they try to do it with the option. Nice move on the perimeter. But Chad Smith can't skate out the rest of the way. It was Martell Burnett who's shaken up after he made the play, who forces this 4th down.
Mike, this is textbook on how to stop the option. You always hear assignment football. Watch Burnett takes the pitch, or takes the dive. You have a cornerback that comes up and takes the quarterback. Then Weddle is there filling the alley and the pitch. And Burnett, even though he's a little bit dinged up, he's not only stopped the fullback, he then picked up the pace, ran to the football, and made a play on the pitchback as well.
See some of the skills of a more perimeter, more offense-oriented player with that one from Burnett. Well, he was a wide receiver. He's been moved around receiver, safety, linebacker, defensive end. But he kept finding that table where they give him all the good food, kept growing.
Yep.
And the next move's in as a defensive tackle, but he's gone from receiver to defensive end. And you see how effective he is at that new spot, forcing an Air Force punt.
And with Ledbetter's injury, his ability to come on and really pick up and have a good feel for that position is imperative for Utah's defense.
All right, rugby punt. Now, this is a little different because Donnie Heaton has options. He can always run it. He had 4 guys coming at him, so he decided to kick that one and kicks it all the way out of the end zone for a touchback. Kick 53, net 33. Utah ball at zone 20 when you come back.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Cooper Tire's Ultimate Bowl Tour. Go to a Cooper dealer near you or visit ultimatebowltour.com to enter. And in part by Jeep. Trail-rated capability. Only in a Jeep 4x4.
Just a little bit after 6 Mountain Daylight Time, so the fans who were working downtown have come to fill in Rice-Eccles Stadium. 45,000 capacity, and the Muss, the mighty Utah student section. These fans who are students here, who've been very supportive of the team during this great run over the last couple of years. They were here a couple hours before kickoff today. Touchdown to the first drive. Let's see what Utah can do in its second. Quinton Ganther busted through the middle for 13 yards and another first down.
Well, we saw Utah's defense make some adjustments against the Air Force offense in the second drive and forced a punt. And Air Force and Richard Bell, their defensive coordinators, they're going to have to come up with some of the same answers, because right now you have an Air Force defense that is spread out. Well, I want you to see when they go with a 3-man defensive line how far they are spread out. And Brian Johnson is doing a great job of getting pre-snap reads and making calls at the line of scrimmage to go with what he wants to go with.
Here's Johnson over the middle, little high, and Latondras couldn't pull it in front of Bobby Giannini, the very busy free safety. Kirk, you talked about pre-snap reads. The offensive coordinator for Utah, Andy Ludwig, was telling us yesterday that when looking back at the tape from game 1, that's something Johnson could, or the last game, something Johnson could have done better. More pre-snap reads, and saying this isn't going to be available with what they're doing defensively would have given him less options once the snap came to him.
I think that's a big part of this attack with Andy Ludwig and what he's doing now in his first year as an offensive coordinator, is he wants to eliminate a lot of those pre-snap reads and a lot of the options. Makes it much easier for Johnson to make reads.
2nd and 10. That one to Castile, and the freshman Brent Castile will be 3 yards shy of the first down at the 40. Nelson Mitchell comes up with a tackle. We'll have 3rd and 3 ahead. What does that mean? Because the quarterback has to make so many reads in this offense?
Yeah, there's so many different reads for the quarterback, and not only checking to the right play, but based on what you see as a pre-snap before the ball's in play, you're able to eliminate certain plays and certain reads, and it makes it that much easier once the ball is snapped to actually go about your business and what you have to do. Last week, Mike, Brian really struggled with eliminating some of those reads, so I think his head was spinning a little bit, and he was a little bit overmatched for the first time as a true sophomore.
Injury for Air Force, and this would be a tough injury. Overton Spence, their only experienced linebacker, the defensive coordinator who Kirk mentioned earlier, Richard Bell, as you watch Spence slowly limp off, he said he is a guy who really has become a leadership person on this team after some off-the-field issues this past year. He is emerge comfortably into a leadership role on and off the field for this Air Force defense. Officially, it's 3rd and a long 2. Needing to get to the 37. Johnson keeping, trying to squeeze through the opening, but the ball pulled out by Air Force. Let's see if Johnson was down. Again, we have the replay option, so they'll make a call on the field. It was yanked out of his arms by John Raybould. So once the call is made, they'll have the option. They'll say no fumble, 4th down.
All right. I think he was down. It looked like he was down, and the Air Force defenders are ripping the ball out.
There's an Air Force player shaken up. They'll show the replay, though, of the option to stop a game and take a closer look.
Actually, a good read by Johnson. It was just a defense. He's been down for a while. It's just a defense that was flying to the football.
Is he down for a while, or is he laying on somebody else? Because if he's laying on somebody else, he's not down yet.
I think you also have forward progress. We learned that last week. In the Mountain West, it's a little bit different than what we see around the rest of the country.
Gilberto Perez was the player on the bottom that he was rolling over. Bobby Giannini, the free safety who's been active early on, is the 2nd consecutive good defender shaken up for Air Force. Again, just to go over, we have replay in 9 of the 11 conferences. The Sun Belt and the WAC, we do not. You have the option here to throw your red flag as a coach. Have a coach's challenge. They haven't worked well for Fisher DeBerry, and you see the red flag in his pocket. So he's probably going to be a little more hesitant.
Did you bring your red flag?
No, I left the red flag. I heard from lots of my friends who were worried that I was making a bad fashion statement last week.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought it looked great. You left it in Fort Worth, huh?
Yeah. Actually, they came back and took it. They were very upset that we didn't hand it back right after the game. So here's the punt by Sakota. Fair catch signal is made. It's down to 21 with Chris Sutton. So let's go back. You mentioned the adjustments that Utah made on defense. Show me what you mean.
Well, this is textbook, and it's easy to say this, but Burnett, the defensive end, is the read. He is the dive read for the quarterback, and this happens rather fast. We're going to slow it down. Once he comes down, you can see he takes the fullback away. Quarterback's now going to take it to the next level. And once he's taken away, obviously he pitches it. But look at Eric Weddle, the free safety, coming right into position. It was bang, bang, bang. Somebody has to take the dive, somebody takes the quarterback, and somebody needs to be there to take the pitch. When you get that good, Air Force typically is now going to go to play action to try to make you pay for that by filling the alley too quickly.
First down, there is the pitch as the halfback comes around. Chad Hall, half a yard shy of the first down. Casey Evans made the tackle, and you saw a little bit of a move up front over by the offensive left side. Let's see if it was Utah or Air Force. That was some very nice drawing, by the way. Lots of different shaped circles, the moving arrow.
It's a lot of work.
It's really nice.
It's a lot of different circles there.
Number 98 on the defense, decline, down and 2.
Kelly Talavu called for the flag there.
Mike, the reason I tell you that this is the time that Air Force, this year's version of Air Force, likes to try to get to the play action is when you see a safety. And Eric Weddle, we talked about last week, one of the more talented safeties in college football. His assignment this week is to come up and fill the alley on either the quarterback or the pitchman, depending on his assignment. When you see a safety upstairs, and I'm an Air Force coach, and I see him coming up so fast, that's usually when you're going to get a call back downstairs to say, let's try a little play action and take advantage of the one-on-one matchup with our receiver against their corner who's isolated.
So close they have to measure for the first down here. That's why they declined the penalty. It'll be a foot shy, so we'll have 2nd and less than a yard. The Utah defensive coordinator is Gary Anderson. He works so closely with Kyle Whittingham. Whittingham, the head coach who took over for Urban Meyer, was the defensive coordinator. So they're both in on this together. And Anderson was explaining during the week, along with Kyle Whittingham, that this is a game where Eric Weddle could have 15 tackles or so, as we said in the laps, and that's okay. Usually your free safety making all those tackles, you're not doing the job up front. But this week, because of those alleys you talked about and adding the extra safety, Weddle is responsible for making a lot of big plays or else plays. If he doesn't make it, the option is a touchdown.
He's at 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. I mean, he is in there to stop the run.
Kept by the quarterback, Harney. First down to the 45-yard line. Pick up a 14 for Sean Carney, who averages nearly 4 yards per carry.
What's so dangerous about assignment football, you always hear assignment football in defending the triple option, is if one guy breaks down, you've got an opening and you've got an opportunity to make a play. This time Brady, 14, right there, has the quarterback, and he's there to make the play. He fakes the pitch, cuts underneath, and when Brady misses the tackle, now he's got an opening to pick up a nice gain.
Air Force 88 yards rushing and take it to about 90 yards. Look at Ryan Williams, the second fullback, just fighting for yards there as he gets about 4 close to midfield. Ryan Williams started this game. Jacoby Kendrick has that knee injury, and Air Force, it is by the book. Fisher DeBerry's been doing this for over 2 decades. If you don't start the practices during the week, those first couple of practices that are your game plan practices, you don't start in the game. And he's hard and fast with that rule. Kendrick was okay, but that's why he sat out that opening drive, and Williams earned himself some more playing time here.
These fullbacks, they've always had great fullbacks at the academy, but these fullbacks, I think, have a little bit more burst, a little bit more of an explosiveness coming out of that backfield that makes it that much tougher, as we talked about, to stop this option.
Air Force going to take a timeout there. You saw the numbers. This offense, they've been doing it for a long time. Not a lot has changed, yet they still are incredibly productive in it. All but 1 year here in the Fisher DeBerry run. This has been top 10 in the nation in rushing. That's why it is so impressive. And we'll talk about this as the night goes on. If you know they do it, especially within your league when you see it, why aren't people better at stopping it? Well, while we have a second, our Applebee's hometown hero, Robert Wiscombe. He's the Director of Equipment Operations here. Been a part of this program for over a quarter century, including his time as a student manager here.
We go through about 500 pairs of decals in a season. After the helmets are inspected, they put them back in the bag, bring them back here, we load them up on the truck to go over to the stadium. The jersey style is new this year. We have a leadership committee. They went through and designed the uniform themselves. Turned out pretty good this year, I think.
And there he is. These are the guys. And, you know, we're going to try to do this as many Thursdays as we can, hopefully every week. The people behind the program. And Kirk will tell you from his Ohio State days, anytime you've been around a football team, those are the people that make a football program go. Those are the glue, from coaching staff to coaching staff, guys like that guy.
Well, it's the people that are unnoticed. You know, the true offensive linemen of college football, the guys that help you out every day in practice and in games.
Jason Brown right near that first down line. He's maybe a hair shy, but a good completion on second down. Joe Giannone up there for the tackle. Those are the guys who log the hundreds of hours, the unseen time of getting, it's much more than the vernacular around locker rooms, the jocks and the socks, getting those clean and ready for the players. They're a friend to the players. They are ears for the coaches. They can get a great vibe on a locker room because they are not one of the coaches. They're more one of the guys.
And players would do themselves a favor by treating those guys with a lot of respect, because there are ways those guys can make your life miserable if you don't treat them with respect.
3rd and a yard, and Air Force will throw out of the backfield for Justin Handley to the 37-yard line, a first down. Well, this is a team that on 3rd and 10 is more than willing to run triple option. But this year, they're a little more willing on 3rd and 1 to throw the football.
It's fun to watch the offense because it is a different look and a different feel. And 3rd and 1, you're thinking it's a given. They're going to rip the fullback right up the middle with the success they had. And with the ability of Carney to throw, he dips it out to the back. And look at that right there by Chad Hall. This is typical Air Force. They're going to give you every single thing they have on every play. That's why this system works so well for Fisher DeBerry at the academy.
3rd drive for Air Force, fullback carry for just 2 yards. Steve Fafita that time able to derail Ryan Williams. Fafita, all-conference performer, defensive MVP in the Fiesta Bowl.
Mike, it's easy for us to sit up here, but right here's a bad read. Fafita clearly comes down to take the fullback. When he comes down, quarterbacks taught to hold the ball, take it to the next level, your pitch man, and then deal with it. At that time, and quarterback, it's very difficult. He'll go back and look at a game. Hopefully he scores 85, 90% on his reads. That time, there was a miss there by the quarterback, Chad.
The fake of the throw, and back to the busy Jason Brown. Down the sideline goes Brown. He'll be inside the 10. It's 1st and goal So Jason Brown catches it for 29 yards there. That's his 4th grab of this opening quarter.
What? I mean, Jason Brown is known for his size at 6'4", but that time he demonstrated his ability to make a big play. Ryan Smith, who's got great speed, once he misses the tackle, look at Jason Brown pull away and actually stayed in bounds, number one, and then he shows some great speed to get downfield.
He's 6'4", 225.
Yeah.
Air Force 164 yards of offense here in this first quarter. To throw, Carney going to be stopped by Fafita, gain of only a yard as he was looking in the end zone.
Mike, I love the call with the way the momentum of this drive is going. This is something where, again, you're going to have a quarterback in Sean Carney that he would love to have an opportunity. I want you to watch this play right here. Watch the tight end. Right now, right off the fake, you got to be ready to throw the football. And Sean Carney, he had his head around. I think he might have been looking into the flat there for the back, but he had the tight end open for a touchdown quick.
Robert McMenemy, whose only catch this year is a 38-yard touchdown. 2nd and goal for Utah, for Air Force at the Utah 7 when the second quarter begins. All square at 7 after 15 minutes. With Aaron Andrews and Kirk Herbstreit, Mike Tirico. Glad you're with us. All tied at 7. As, some of the fans read the student newspaper. Try to pick out a player to yell at from Air Force. I guess this is 2nd down as we come back out of the timeout, and Carney runs it. Held up at the 2-yard line. Wrapped up at the top by Steve Tate, the extra safety who started tonight. Spencer Toon is coming from the other side. Kirk, what about the mix that we've seen, the balance you talked about when we were up on the roof at the beginning of the game?
I want to give Carney some love because that was a great read, but they have mixed it up. And of course they're going to run the football 9 yards per play and averaging over 7 yards on 1st and 10. That's Air Force kind of football, and that's putting them in situations like this to be able to execute.
The receiver will be at the bottom of the screen with a 6-inch height difference. 3rd and goal. They run the fullback Williams, who pounds forward and is in for the touchdown. So Ryan Williams, who did not have a touchdown last year as he was a member of the junior varsity, had just 12 carries coming in tonight. Has 7 carries, 54 yards in his first 2 Division I touchdowns.
Like, that was a great job of running, of course, and good effort by Williams, but the line, they went right at Fafita, right at the strength of Utah's defense. Pushed him back.
It's a very good offensive line. It's a reason that they've had time to throw in these throw situations. They're good running. 4 seniors and a junior, all returned from last year. Out of Winona, Minnesota, Scott Everly bangs through the extra point. The Falcons had a 73-yard scoring drive in the first quarter, 78 yards here to start the second. Curtis Grantham is 62. He helps with the big block to pave the way for Williams' 2nd touchdown of the night.
With Hurricane Rita bearing down on the Gulf Coast, the Tennessee-LSU game scheduled for Saturday night has been moved to Monday night. It will be on ESPN2 at 7:30 Eastern Time. Baseball's wild card races, and Houston now has a 2-game lead after defeating the Pirates 2-1, up by 2 games as they try to earn a spot in the postseason. Sports Center coming up after the game.
Okay, Reese, thank you. And Reese will have more at halftime when he joins the award winners, Mark May and Desmond Howard, there in the studio. 14-7, Air Force on top. Somebody's going to walk out of here with a 2nd conference loss. And Air Force's offense, Kirk, has been about as good as it has been all year thus far tonight. 2
of their first 3 drives, textbook of what Air Force is trying to accomplish. We were bragging about how Utah's defense made the adjustments. And then I guess Air Force came right back.
On the kickoff by Ryan O'Day. No return for Fano Tongo Viola, so Utah will take it over at its own 20-yard line. Well, there are weeks that we may sell this a little bit harder. But this is, what do you say? Take the garbage out, do all the honey-do list things.
Get everything out of the way. Get everything out of the way.
And then call game plan?
Quickly.
On your laptop or on your TV?
Get the whole
the 15
season.
games? Yeah, get the whole
You should have the whole season.
But this week, unless you live in that 20% or so on the West Coast, you will not see USC Oregon on ABC. So the only way for most of you to see it will be game plan. Colorado-Miami plays at noon, same time as Iowa-Ohio State. One game's on your ABC affiliate, the other one game plan. Call your cable operator, satellite provider for more. Johnson's first down throw is complete. Another hit for Brian Hernandez. It'll be out of bounds. 32, a gain of 12.
Do yourself a favor and watch USC's offense. I mean, you're watching one of the best offenses in the history of college football. Don't wait till the Notre Dame game to see USC this year. They're worth the price of admission. Check them out every week if you can.
I still cannot believe
Ridiculous.
what they did.
They're unfair.
It was hard to find the game on Saturday, but I was lucky enough to be on the West Coast.
Oh, there you go.
And was able to watch them.
It's hard to find them.
The first quarter showing was unbelievable. 28 points in 8 plays.
Yeah.
Against Arkansas, not Arkansas State, real Arkansas.
Yeah.
Brian Johnson scrambling, with all due respect to Arkansas State. Johnson pushed out of bounds at the 48-yard line. We'll give him 16 on that one, and Utah responding to the Air Force drive. You talked about this. This was unbelievable.
I just get so excited watching this guy right here. Number 4. Watch the move on the safety. Goodbye, safety. That's an SEC safety. He just went right by, and by the way, he's leaving everybody. He reminds me so much of Cadillac Williams, but I think with even more power. Then we slip him out of the backfield just for fun, and then Leinart likes to spread the wealth. That's the one thing that Matt's very nice about is he spreads it around. Dwayne Jarrett, you talked about it, 4 touchdowns, first 8 plays. Watch him, because somebody said Norm Chow went to the NFL. I think he's at Tennessee now.
Yes,
a lot of people felt that their offense would really struggle. So they're off to a decent start here these first 2 ball games.
So is Utah on this drive. Johnson down the middle for Latondras. Travis Latondras takes it to the 30. That'll be a pickup of 22. So as Kirk said, the advantage for the receivers on the secondary of Air Force being exploited by Utah's offense in this series.
One of the ways to exploit a defense that wants to keep their safeties out wide, look how wide the safeties are, is if you have athletic inside receivers, you can get vertical. Latondras right over the linebacker, perfectly thrown by Johnson, and the safeties have to respect the vertical game on the outside, which keeps them away from the middle of the field, and that opened it up beautifully there for Latondras to make a big play. Johnson looks like a different guy this week compared to last week throwing the football.
This time a run now. Quinton Ganther bounces it to the outside. A gain of 13 to the 17, so 4 snaps on this drive. All double-digit gains, and it's moved Utah 63 yards down the field.
Like this also looks like a different running back in Quinton Ganther, who's battling a knee bruise and cramping last week. This is the Ganther that you're used to seeing. Breaking arm tackles, showing the power to get upfield, and very similar to what Air Force needs from their fullback. Utah, with their option attack, they have to get Quinton Ganther going, which opens up the rest of their offense.
The senior out of Richmond, California. From the 17, Johnson to Madsen. Another first down inside the 5-yard line. John Madsen with the catch there. Johnson's 7 of 8. And Aaron, he's got some help in the backfield with Quinton Ganther tonight.
Kirk was mentioning all throughout the TCU game that Quinton Ganther looked like he was suffering from cramps. Mike, we talked to him, and he said he had never, ever played in the South before there in Dallas. What was the temperature like? High 80s. It was absolutely humid. He said it was killing him. He couldn't even walk around. He was trying to put all the Gatorade he could in him, but he just couldn't get rid of those cramps. Obviously, glad to be back in his hometown tonight.
And Aaron, he is a warrior, so for him to even finish the game, 81 snaps, is pretty remarkable.
Shovel pass to Castile will be the first play of this drive that wasn't an eye-popping gain.
Let me just say something right now. The triple option this year from Utah with the shovel pass is just not executing well. In the last 2 games, the linemen get in the way. It's not developing well. Last year this play opened up for so many big plays for Alex Smith, and it's not Brian Johnson's fault. It's just the execution between the backs, the pitch relationship underneath, the guard getting pushed back into the shovel pass. It just is not working.
From the 5, designed run for Johnson right to the goal line. I think he might be shy. The line judge sprinting in to see where the ball is. Looks like we'll have 3rd down coming up. think that's the correct call.
Mike, what is working for Utah is the line. This was their Achilles heel last week. They were very disappointed with themselves because they did not control the line of scrimmage against Gary Patterson and TCU. So far, and what we've seen in the first half is this line is reasserting themselves and pushing back. Keep in mind, the strength of the Air Force defense is their front. They're big and they're strong. Right now, they're on their heels getting pushed back.
Johnson looking for space, and on second effort, he's in the end zone for his second touchdown run of the night. Chad Jacobson, the tight end, makes the block.
Both these teams have earned their touchdowns. I mean, both teams have been able to sustain long drives to come up with touchdowns. That time, 8 plays and 80 yards.
Dan Beardall on for the extra point. Might be a lot of points here tonight. As someone in this booth thought. It's not the person speaking, it's the other guy who's just giggling.
Lots of points, man.
Drives of 73, 69, 78, and they're 80 yards for the 4 touchdowns. Brian Williams has 2 for Air Force. Brian Johnson, 2 for Utah.
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Aflac. Ask about it at work. And Cargill. We collaborate, create, and succeed with our customers.
We mentioned the 2002 Winter Olympics were held here. They still have Cauldron Plaza, where that beautiful flame was lit during the 2002 games here in Salt Lake City. What a boon it was for the University of Utah. This Rice-Eccles Stadium was improved and upgraded, hosting the opening and closing ceremonies. They kick into the end zone for a touchback, and Air Force will take over at the 20. My guy Herbie's all fired up because this is triple option offense. He ran the triple option in high school, and he's in heaven. So teach us 101.
Well, the most important thing for a quarterback is when he does get to the mesh point is reaching back as far as he can. Now, Air Force has Williams, right, and Kendrick. I got Tirico, and there's no comparison.
Come on, let's go. What are you trying to say?
Depth, and the quarterback wants to get back as far as he can, which gives him more time with the fullback on his read, what he's looking at. Both guys are kind of reading the same thing. The trick is right here, the mesh point with the fullback. The quarterback needs to be able to pull it if he reads pull, and the fullback needs to keep it if he reads keep. So that is a very tricky area. It takes hours and hours and hours of practice between the quarterback and the fullback.
So the relationship's very important.
Oh, very, very important. Most important thing to running the option.
And there is the fullback, Jacoby Kendrick, with that carry there.
Because what people that aren't familiar with the triple option don't realize is the quarterback, even on that play, comes out of the huddle and has no idea who he's going to hand the football off to. Most offenses, the quarterback hands it off, carries out his fake. With this offense, you have got to be able to read the same thing the fullback is reading along with the quarterback.
Second down toss going deep downfield for one of the halfbacks, Chad Hall, and the pass there was incomplete. Third down and 8 coming up. So the fullback, he has his hands on the ball as you're going through this.
It's kind of a soft squeeze, and if we're reading the defensive tackle right here, Josh Johnston, who's trying to, if he squeezes down, I'm going to pull. And if you're trying to pull to say, I want it, we've got an issue. I need the ball because this guy's coming down. So it's a very light squeeze. So I'm either going to give it to you as we go forward.
And we're going forward while we're doing this.
Going forward, and it happens within a 1/10 of a second, the decision. Both guys have to be on the same page with the read. And if I pull it, now I've got to go read the next guy to be able to pitch it off of him. So it's very, very quick. Takes a cerebral, athletic young man to be able to run this offense like Sean Carney.
3rd and 8 for Carney, who is making this one up. Utah had all the options taken away. Kyle Brady leads the pressure, and Air Force will have to kick it away.
And as much as Air Force is talking about this passing attack that they have this year, and they converted on their first drive on a 3rd and 9, realistically, when Air Force gets into 3rd and long, like any other offense, the advantage goes to the defense. And they pin their ears back. This is what happened to Air Force last week against Wyoming, Mike. Wyoming that was able to pin their ears back and get into Sean Carney's face, which completely exposed their lack of ability to pass the ball.
Trying to rush a lot of people on one side. This time set up a return for the kick by Heaton. A line drive. Weddle lost it. It is free. Air Force had 2 bodies around the ball when it came out. Let's see if they were able to keep their bodies on it.
Looked like Air Force had it. They had 2 or 3 bodies top of the ball. This is
What about the back judge? Greg Wilson, it is Air Force ball. Greg Wilson, the back judge, he just did a press of Adam Zanotti. Get out of here. Falcons recover the mistake, a rare mistake by Eric Weddle. Andy Gray comes up with the recovery.
He's checking for a mark. That was probably the best hit of the play there. The ball, and that's a rare mistake by Weddle, but once the ball's loose, it's pretty obvious that Air Force is going to come up with the ball, but you don't see Eric Weddle make very many mistakes like that.
Oh, it was a good thing that came out of a bad punt.
Uh-oh, here we come. Yeah.
Gray at the bottom of the pile comes away with it, so Air Force see if they can make this opportunity pay. They go right back to Jacoby Kendrick, the fullback, only for a couple of yards. Now, all 4 turnovers that have been forced this year by the Air Force defense have turned into touchdowns. So a kicking game mistake here is an opportunity for Air Force to keep it going and be the team getting the most out of the mistakes. Now the back judge.
You tell me where the best hit is. Back judge comes in right here. Right here. Boom! Get back. Back him up.
Control the game. Pickup of 4 on first down. 2nd and 6 for the Falcons. It's time the halfbacks involved in the option again, but the first read by Casey Evans, that free safety coming up. Martell Burnett able to force 3rd down.
Really like the defense, even though they've given up some points. The concept and what Utah is trying to do to take away the option. If you think about it, it's been the fullback that has hurt this defense up the middle. It hasn't necessarily been big plays on the perimeter. It's been the fullback right up the middle with Ryan Williams and Kendrick.
Especially to that right side. Grantham and Weaver have done a nice job blocking on the offensive front for Air Force. 3rd and 5, 3 receivers here. They'll run out of it with the fullback, and Kelly Talivo comes up with the play that'll force 4th down. Such a good situation for a defense when you are in a moment where you turn it over, you make a mistake in the kicking game, but you're able to get them right back off the field and not let that momentum go against you. No wind to speak of to factor in these kicks. It's a very light breeze. And this is a fake by Heaton. It's blocked. He tried the rugby kick. It was blocked. Utah trying to scoop it and score. They will come up with the ball at the 33-yard line. Grady Marshall out there to block it. Heaton has the option on these rugby kicks to run and kick it. The reason they went to the rugby kicks was because there was too much pressure. They were having trouble getting kicks off. That time it was just a straight rugby kick to boot it away, and turns into a block punt.
Mike, he felt pressure, but this has been something that's been happening to Air Force throughout this season. I mean, they were fortunate to get wins in their first couple games, close games, but last week against Wyoming, missed extra point by a drop snap by Heatley. Now all of a sudden you have a block punt in a game that's going back and forth, and you just had an opportunity to try to capitalize on a miscue by Utah. The little things like that have been catching up to Air Force this year.
First down for Johnson. Looking for it all. It was covered. An opportunity to come back to Amin Shaheen. Is the first catch for the junior out of Utah. Kirk talked about the kicking issues for Air Force last week. That probably cost them a 3-0 start, losing by 1 to Wyoming. And here was the extra point snap that went right through the hands of the punter, Donnie Heaton. And then they were down 1. You know, then that happens in the 4th quarter. Those get away from you. And then Ryan O'Day's kickoff was short, allowing Wyoming a return that put the Cowboys in position to get the game-winning touchdown and extra point as they won 29-28. 1st and 10. Johnson kind of gets in the way to block for Ganther. And Quinton gains 2 to the 19-yard line. One more point on that rugby punt. I haven't seen that really work for people. A lot of people do it. I mean, you're going to it because you think it's foolproof. But I see too many quick athletes getting in there and messing it up.
Well, you're going to it because you think that you're going to be able to get people downfield. It's going to be a low line drive kick that's going to give you a great roll, and you have so many people downfield covering. But at least on Thursday Night Football, we've seen it over the years. It's not very effective, and it is not it's not the prettiest.
It's not pretty. It's not good. It's not working. This is everybody, not just Air Force. Johnson ran out of time, runs out of a sack, and scoots to the 16-yard line. Pick up 3. Third down and about 5 coming up as Air Force's defense tries to come up with a stop.
Well, one thing about Brian Johnson that he has to be able to do is he needs to be able to pull the trigger. And if he's not going to find a guy downfield, if a defense is going to drop 8, I like his patience, but at some point you've got to pull the trigger and go. And he relies so much on his arm that he is hesitant to find an open man. And that time the coverage was too good.
Remember, this is just his 4th start. Saw backup action behind Alex Smith, #1 overall pick in last year's draft by the 49ers. 3rd and 5. He is pressured, able to get out of it. Johnson trying to make the last linebacker miss in John Raybold, but he's held just shy of the 1st down. 4th and let's see, probably less than a yard, depending on the spot.
Mike, this is the first time this game that we've seen Air Force's defense on the attack mode. They're bringing outside linebackers, and that time if Keller would have made a play or Danny Poland would have made a play, they had 2 linebackers there to sack Johnson, but they couldn't come up with the play. I just like that they're attacking, so mixing it up a little bit, trying to put some pressure on a quarterback.
Kyle Whittingham's going to take time out. Lip readers could have seen him say, "What do you think, Andy?" Talking to the offensive coordinator on the headsets. We'll have time to talk about it, think about it, and we'll see what they do after this. Getting set to hit right around the Texas-Louisiana border. The Saturday scheduled primetime game, Tennessee-LSU, has been moved. That decision coming about 2 hours ago. So college football primetime presented by Polaroid moves to ESPN2 Monday night, 7:30 Eastern. Stay tuned for the adjustments in the schedule. 4th and 1. Utah will go for it. Option. Ganther. 1st down. Just shy of the goal line. 1st and goal for the Utes. Gain of 11 for Quinton. Very, very close to a touchdown.
Interesting call, Mike, on 4th down, and I like that it was a freeze call at the beginning of the play. Hard count. The hard count, he's trying to get the linebackers to tip their hand. Right here, boom. Now he knows. He stands up. He goes opposite, which means now we're going to run the option to the left based on the way that linebacker moved. Runs it away from the linebacker, gets the play that he wants, and you see, Keller was a step late, and that opposite call by the quarterback using that hard count is what set up the big play.
I think this might be reviewed. It was very close, as you saw. The officials are going over to conference. There is the replay booth. Always got to watch where that leg behind is to see where he's out of bounds. And when that knee comes down, was he across the plane? Again, there needs to be indisputable visual evidence that when the knee hits there, where's the ball? Is it over the plane of the goal? I think that's a brilliant call by that official to be just shy, as he was getting pushed out of bounds as well.
Well, you made a very key point, Mike. Where is the football when his knee touches? And he's not quite yet to the pylon. So that is, to you and I, it looks like a great call.
Now the fans are seeing it up on the replay board. They're reacting. Again, I think this is the angle.
One of the few stadiums where they actually show the controversial call.
That's the angle. And if you're not exactly right down the front of the plane of the goal line, then you're not going to have indisputable video evidence. So I think this will be upheld. It'll be just a nose shy. It'll still be 1st and goal. Again, this was a challenge, a review, excuse me, initiated by the replay booth, not by the coaches. So Kyle Whittingham didn't throw his red flag to have him take a peek. Out there, where's the ball when he's right there? And by the way, I think that's a whole interesting aspect to this, the replay boards in stadiums, because as we talked about last week in a replay situation, you're not allowed to have a monitor in the coach's box like they do in the NFL when they say, go challenge it, go challenge it. And it only factors in the Mountain West where challenges are available. No other league is doing coach's challenge.
I really like to see, again, going back to the beginning of that play, I just like to see Brian Johnson in command. 4th down, big call. Did a nice hard count to move the defense. Offense sat in there, didn't jump, and then he was able to make the opposite call to run the option the other way to, regardless, it's a 1st down. Now it's just a matter of whether or not it's a touchdown or on the 1-foot line.
After the video review, the call by the official on the field stands. 1st down, Utah.
Well, you're all uptight, Utah fans, and more sensitive after the issues last week in the TCU game.
Right.
But this was the absolute right call and a tremendous call by unofficial getting hit out of bounds.
How this Utah offensive line has controlled things for the most part. Just another opportunity to try to push back the Air Force front and get Ganther another touchdown.
Or Johnson, who has 2 rushing touchdowns on the night.
Yep.
Yep, he did get in for his third. They pulled the ball away from Brian Johnson, but after he crossed the plane, 3 rushing touchdowns on the night for the Utah quarterback, who had 2 coming in.
When you're getting that kind of surge, why hand it off? I guess, I mean, they're pushing people back, and you have linebackers, you have safeties, everybody crowding up towards the line of scrimmage, but that defensive line right now doesn't have a chance against Utah. Utah's getting lower, their pad level's lower, and they're pushing Air Force around right now up front.
Dan Beardall, as Utah has its first lead of the night. It's a lead of 7. Hope somebody can explain to me what those students are doing after each touchdown. It's like a mosh pit. I don't. It's not like they're throwing a football. They're just kind of jumping on each other right after the scores. 21-14 as Brian Johnson, the sophomore out of Baytown, Texas, runs in his 3rd touchdown of the night. You mentioned Baytown down by the Houston area, so I'm sure Brian very concerned about how his parents and his family and everyone else are doing, as so many people in that Houston metro area escape as they watch the path of Hurricane Rita. And similar situation watching on SportsCenter with the starter for the Astros today as well, from a Gulf town down in the Houston area. Air Force always runs it well. They're doing that tonight. 102 rushing yards in the first 25 minutes of this game, and a couple of touchdowns for Ryan Williams, a Texan who is the backup fullback. Meantime, Brian Johnson, the sophomore quarterback from Baytown, Texas, he's only missed on 1 pass. He's thrown it for 101 yards. He's run it for 34 yards and 3 scores. And that would be your game track to this point. 21-14. Return just to the 20-yard line. And let's check with Reese Davis in the studio. Reese.
All right, Mike, coming up on the Pontiac Performance Halftime Report, Mark May and Desmond Howard are here. We'll visit with Les Miles, LSU coach, as you mentioned, that game being moved to Monday night against Tennessee. We'll also have the Pontiac game-changing performance and get you up to date on the wild card race.
And I'll tell you how important special teams will play a part in the LSU-Tennessee game.
I'm going to talk about Les Miles and his resolve.
Les Miles, talk about all they've been through, Mike, when we come see you at half.
All right, Reese with the 1980 Outland winner, the 1991 Heisman winner there in the studio.
What's my tribe doing? They're still in the mix, aren't they?
Ball on the ground, it's loose. On the option of mistake, recovered by Utah. Eric Weddle, who gave up the last turnover on the punt, comes up with a big one here for the Utes.
Mike, the read was fine by Carney. Once he makes the pitch actually is too far in front of McCarthy. McCarthy would have had to make a pretty good catch here. It's a great read, but the ball's in front. I mean, you look at it and you think McCarthy maybe has his hands on it. Maybe we'll be able to see it here perfectly. The read is fine by Carney. He comes down the line. Utah, by the way, defended it perfectly. McCarthy should at least hold on to the football. I think he might have looked up at Weddle, realizing he was about to get blown up, lost his concentration on the football.
Golden opportunity for Johnson and the Utes to the end zone. Touchdown, Travis Latondres.
Mike, we've already seen Utah have success with those safeties and the way they're separated. Watch the move by Latondres on the left side of the screen. This is a great move on a linebacker. Look at the safeties. They're all the way out wide. Latondres with a little move to the outside, and it makes the move back in. The ball is perfectly thrown. And that's the way you attack a team. After you score, you get a turnover, you go right back to the end zone with a quarterback that's hot, you get the touchdown.
17 seconds, back-to-back Utah touchdowns. They go from tied to leading by 14. Utah has scored the last 21 points. Take advantage of the turnover right away. 3 rushing touchdowns. Now a touchdown toss for the sophomore Brian Johnson.
Why do great student athletes come to the Mountain West? Is it for the hiking? Is it for the climbing? Or is it for the cool, clean air at the top of the world? The Mountain West Conference, above the rest.
Travis Latondras, the senior out of El Dorado Hills, California. One of those relentless football fanatic grinder type players that are the glue of a program. And he comes up with that touchdown there to make it 28-14. Ben Vrooman's had back-to-back kickoffs here for the Utes. That one, I don't know if it was out of bounds. Nope, it did cross the pylon, so it's a touchback. And Air Force will take over at the 20. The freshman without a name on his jersey. You ready? Yeah, you got it.
Maybe the equipment man I told you. You got to be nice to him.
Well, he's trying to make a name for himself.
that helps.
There you go. That's
touchback, get that maybe half the name on there. Keep kicking them deep. This is huge. 4 minutes and 48 seconds to go. Air Force cannot panic and just start to throw the football. They've got to stick to their game plan and be able to try to move the ball down the field. They've been able to do it twice already, a long drive.
Sean Carney keeps it, gains about 6 yards. Weddle and Spencer Toon make the tackle. Sean Carney did something that is very rare at Air Force. He came in as a freshman and became the quarterback. It doesn't happen because of so many reasons. One, the experience you need to run this offense. He wasn't coming out of a pure triple option offense, so he had that hurdle. And then the difficult adjustment that a young man has when he comes to the academy as a cadet and what happens to him before he comes down to the football practice field for the first time. And to his friend, the fullback, Jacoby Kendrick, he was able to get the first down there as Utah tries to mount a drive. When you are a cadet and you're a freshman and you come in, you have about 10 days of orientation in July, and then you have a month of basic training, and as they call it, you go up to the hills. As a matter of fact, there's a story that we were told about former kicker Joe Wood, who was a linebacker at 235 pounds, went up to basic training, came back down the hill at 195 pounds. He became the kicker, and a very good kicker. Basic training is tough, but Carney survived it last year, and he pitched there to Chad Hall to the 40 here, and we enjoyed visiting with Sean yesterday.
And talking more about Sean Carney, he told us he is living out his dream, especially when he was told all his life he was too small to play. He says he's a lot more confident, a lot more comfortable this season. He spent the summer actually practicing his craft with his older brother Mark, who coincidentally is a quarterbacks coach at the University of Richmond, guys.
And Sean said he may end up being in football. Kirk, he's one of those Ohio kids from North Olmsted.
Yeah, North Olmsted, and played at Cleveland St. Ed, a great program in Ohio.
2nd and 3, run for the fullbacks, the first down up to the 45-yard line.
One thing I like so far, taking their time. Remember, this drive started with 4 minutes and 48 seconds to go. First down's going to stop the clock, but they're getting back to the fullback. The fullback is between Kendrick and Ryan Williams. That's been the key for Air Force. That's where they've had the most success. I like the fact they're trying to get back to the fullback and then see if that can set up some other aspects of this option attack.
Carney to throw. The one-man route is pulled in. A juggling catch by Jason Brown. At 6'4", he's got a half foot on the corner, Ryan Smith, and took advantage of it right there.
You know what? But it doesn't matter because Ryan Smith has faced bigger receivers and is a great corner. Ryan Smith is one of the better corners that you're going to see because of the system that Utah runs. They say, we're going to leave you on an island. We believe in you. You're going to make plays. He's in perfect position, but Brown, the adjustment, the focus, the concentration to make that catch, very big play at this point for Air Force.
Gain of 27 from the 28. Justin Handley Very close to a first down with a terrific drive. The reason I bring up the athletic ability, you're exactly right about it covered. He has at 6'4" the athletic ability to go up as well. He can go win balls in the air, and he has that mentality.
What I'm saying is, you're exactly right, Mike. What I'm saying is, you have to realize not only the acrobat catch, but the guy that he's going up and over is one of the better corners that you're going to see. And he plays man-to-man coverage, not just tonight, but all the time. He is a really gifted player for only being a sophomore. Brown went right over him.
And the difference is Air Force can go after that now because the guy who can throw it almost broken by the fullback, Kendrick. Jacoby takes it down to about the 9-yard line. We'll have third down and 3 coming up.
Having I hate to be repetitive, Mike, but having a fullback that's going to be able to bang into the middle like this, just a midline option. He goes right by Fafita, who was there. He thought he was there. I think he was starting to chase the fullback, but being able to rip that up the middle on 1st and 10 is huge.
This sets up everything. Chris Evans, a 4th tight end in the game. That time, Kendrick lost his footing, and they were able to make him pay back the 10. So from here, the field goal would be 27 yards. They need to get to the 5 for a first down. I beg your pardon, it's third down.
A little bit surprising that they got away from what was working, and again, attacking the tempo. They're attacking. This drive started 3 minutes ago, and yet they've moved the ball right down the field. And of course, Brown made the big catch, but for the most part, they've been picking up huge yards by being able to run up the middle and then make a play or two off the counter play where they bounced it to the outside.
Drive started with 4:48 in this second quarter. A reverse to Kirkwood. The other receiver, Greg Kirkwood, picked up the block from Carney and gets a touchdown. Sometimes the quarterback throws an oh-by-the-way block. No. Sean Carney threw a difference-making block. A huge score for the Air Force Academy.
2 things. When you're an option quarterback and you're from Cleveland, you're going to block somebody. You're looking to hurt somebody. I mean, he comes around the corner, and he's not going to do the quarterback that's going to do the finesse Soleil block. He's looking to light somebody up. This is his chance to hit somebody. He's been getting hit the whole game. But great call by Chuck Peterson, the offensive coordinator. Third down. The defense is flying to make the play, and they come back the other way on the reverse for a touchdown. Great call.
Scott Eberle for the extra point. (28-21). Boy, you were right. Huge drive for them, and they responded like clockwork.
Well, you could almost see the intensity when they came on the field. I don't know what Fisher DeBerry or Chuck Peterson said to them, but this was a drive they had to have before that they got to the half to cut this deficit to 7 points. So look at the defense. The defense is flying to stop what they thought might be an option the other way. Carney, the quarterback, bam, on Evans, and then he's able to get the big touchdown there. That was a huge play and a great job by the quarterback getting down low, blowing up Evans, setting up an easy trail for the touchdown.
Terrific 9-play, 80-yard drive. As Sean Carney throws the block that springs Greg Kirkwood back down to Aaron.
A big touchdown for Greg Kirkwood. Coincidentally, last time he played Utah, he dislocated his left shoulder. A couple games after that, he hurt his right one, so he spent the offseason in 2 slings. So he's really excited to get back on track out here, guys.
Yeah, the dislocated shoulder early, then missing the last 2 games with that right shoulder dislocation. It was the 4th time he's run the ball and the 1st time he scored this year.
We've talked a lot tonight about the quarterback and the fullback of Air Force, but their receivers, Jason Brown's made some plays tonight. He's 6'4", and Greg Kirkwood 6'2". I mean, they have some big athletic receivers on this offense.
Returned by Castillo, snowed under at the 15-yard line by Adam Zanotti. He's the guy who got pushed by the back judge out of the pile on that fumble earlier on. Lots of entertainment here in the first half, and undoubtedly at halftime with the Pontiac Performance halftime report. Reese Davis, Mark May, Desmond Howard standing by in the studio. If you're on the West Coast and just coming in from work, the LSU-Tennessee game scheduled for Saturday has been postponed because of Hurricane Rita. Will be played Monday night, ESPN2, 7:30 Eastern. Hang through. Les Miles going to join the guys live on that Pontiac Performance halftime report. Well, what a month it's been for Les. Obviously, residents of Louisiana have had a lot more significant things to deal with this month, but they have not been anything but normal at LSU. Latondras broke the first tackle, took it to the 44. Travis, who caught the touchdown on the last snap, gains 26 there.
Going back to the middle of the field, Mike, I wouldn't be surprised to see Richard Bell and Air Force at halftime make some adjustments to try to take away that part of it. Because their safeties are getting back and they're getting wide, Utah has been able to attack through the middle and get the ball thrown over top of the middle linebackers.
Utah, 2 timeouts remaining. The throw complete to Brent Castile, a yard shy of the first down. Maybe where they marked it, it'll be the first down. They're going to have to stop it and measure. Or Utah will take a timeout to stop it here with 38 seconds left. Utah will use that first timeout, and while they do that, they'll look to see if it's a first down. We'll step out for a second. The Utes driving, trying to add to a 7-point lead before halftime.
The Mountain West Conference believes children benefit from their involvement in sports. That's why we're dedicated to fair play and why we're bringing star sportsmanship to schools around the U.S.
Your coaches think you're missing something. Sportsmanship.
Star Sportsmanship is a role-playing computer game. With it, students learn how to think like a good sport and how to be a good sport. Teachers and coaches visit the Mountain West Conference or Learning Through Sports to learn more. Let's help our children be stars.
It's time for your chance to win one of 100 Philips HD TVs with DirecTV service for a year. Log on to 100yardblitz.com to enter. The code word is Rice Eccles.
The stadium that's 9/10 of a mile high, 4,700 feet the elevation. Not quite as high up as you are in Denver, or next week we're up in Fort Collins at Colorado State to see the Rams play Air Force. So we'll get another look at this Air Force triple option again.
So I'm thinking of taking my wife and kids on a winter vacation skiing.
Yeah.
Park City.
Be all right.
If I'm going to ask you about Denver, the Vail area, or Park City, I've kind of really enjoyed this area. This is beautiful. What do you think?
Why are you looking at me? Why do you think?
Well, you know everything.
Your season ends January 8th. You get
you're hitting mid.
I'm turning to the NBA. Golf is going.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what vacations are.
That's true.
Send me a postcard. 2nd and 1. Out of the timeout. Here is Johnson scrambling for the first down and picking up a little bit more to the 36-yard line. 32.5 seconds remaining.
See, there was a little bit more urgency that time from Brian Johnson. He got back. It wasn't open, and it's okay to take off. He wants to be known as a thrower that happens to be an athlete playing quarterback, not an athlete playing that happens to have the ability to throw. So that time, got back and picked up some yards.
They stopped the clock just inside of 30. The second down coming up.
One thing I think you see from Michael Vick all the way down, guys that are trying to show that they have what it takes to be a pocket quarterback, sometimes they take away from their ability and what's an asset and a strength, which is not being afraid to go back to doing what you do best at times, and that's running. It's kind of a fine line between staying too long and when to go.
This is 2nd and 10 from the 34. 4 receivers deep as Johnson is flushed. Nobody came free. So once he got out of the pocket, he just threw it away. Because he was out of the tackle box, no grounding. 3rd down coming up. You saw the story in the USA Today this morning, perhaps, about African-American quarterbacks and the number that is increasing among the top teams in Division 1A. And that probably goes hand in hand with what's happened with the National Football League and how when you had the championship game in the NFC last year of Donovan McNabb going up against Michael Vick, it wasn't a big news item. There was 2 African-American quarterbacks going head-to-head. Well, that's because at this level, the collegiate level, there are more African-Americans playing the quarterback position. 3rd and 10. Johnson to Latondres. 3 yards shy of the first down with 15 seconds left. See if Utah will stop it here and try to kick a field goal. Yeah, there they go. They take the timeout now. They let a few valuable seconds slide by.
I think there have been some pioneers for African Americans playing quarterback that you can go all the way back to Doug Williams, you have Warren Moon. But I think the difference in what we're seeing now, Mike, is the systems have changed.
Yeah.
It's no longer Doug Williams or Warren Moon and having to prove that they're going to sit back there. I think the offenses now, especially in the NFL, it's taking advantage like a Steve Young. A Steve Young could hurt you running and throwing. It's that style of quarterback now, I think, is a little bit more trendy because of the defensive pressures and the way teams can attack you on the other side of the ball. So you need a guy who can improvise and make plays.
Well, so far, we always talk about trends going from the NFL to college in so many ways with what's happening on the field. I think that's a trend with personnel where you see going from college to the pros, and the people who talk about the lack of African-American head coaches in college football, it's because there's a lack of African-American coordinators.
Right.
Once there are more coordinators, then you'll have people who certainly are experienced in the leadership position and ready to take that next step as head coaches. So when you say, boy, the numbers are down and it's a shame and it shouldn't be that way, it's not representative of the number of people who play the game, look back at the coordinator jobs, and that's where it has to build so it grows.
Well, how do you become a coordinator? First, you're an assistant, or you're a GA.
Right,
you're
exactly.
an assistant coach. So I think it's easy to look at the end result with the head coach, but there's a starting point for every coach, no matter who you are.
Dan Beardall will try this field goal, officially 46 yards. His long is 45. Fading right, but sneaks it in. A good kick with room to spare by Beardall, and his teammates know that the senior from Highland, Utah, came up big here in the final couple of seconds. He was very good in the opener on ESPN on Friday night against Arizona. Had some big kicks, was the conference special teamer of the week. And there bangs home his long of his career.
52 points in the first half. Woo! A lot of points to come here in the second half.
Three more right there. Would have been good from 50.
Yep. Plenty of distance.
May have been good from 54, as a matter of fact. We had 512 yards and 52 points in a very action-packed Mountain West first half. And Beardall has his nice moment. But shout out to his snapper Brock Condi and Eric Weddle, the holder. Is squib it to kill it here before halftime. Actually, it says 0-0 on our clock, and that's correct. But they keep tenths of a second. See, once they got the Olympics here, they got the big upgrade of all the electronics, the new scoreboards. We go tenths of a second here, so we have 8/10 of a second remaining.
I love the Air Force attack.
Yeah.
But
this hurts their average.
Well, yeah, it does. It does. I mean, and Carney's throwing the ball nicely this year, but I don't think he can throw it 85, 90 yards here. So just kill the clock and let's go get a hot dog and let's get ready for the second half.
You're going to have a hot dog?
I haven't eaten dinner yet.
Well, you were busy. This Sports Center hit. Very good. 4 downs. I like that.
Yeah, I like that better than Fact or Fiction.
You did, they had. I love Fact or Fiction.
Yeah, that's okay. I think Mark and I.
Yeah. See, but you're not Clayton and Salisbury.
No,
they're the 4th down legends. The 4 downs legends. But that's pretty good. No question. Mark held up his end of the bargain. Mark was very good. You need some work.
I do.
We can do some 4 downs work with you next week. All right, here's Aaron with Kyle Whittingham.
Well, Coach, you take the lead into the locker, but Air Force's offense has gained over 200 yards on you guys. What do you assess of your D's performance in the first half?
Not good enough on defense, no question about it. We got to shore things up with our option responsibilities. Fullbacks killing us. On the positive note, the offense is doing a great job. Special teams was big in the first half.
You said it was crucial to see how your team would respond after the first loss. What do you think?
So far, so good. But now we got a chance to take control of the game with the defense. We got to get it done, something we weren't able to do last week.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Aaron. Just your simple 38-point quarter there. Beautiful live shot of Salt Lake City on a Thursday night. Isn't that awesome?
Beautiful.
31-21. Reese, Mark, and Desmond, your turn.
All right, Mike, Salt Lake City, one of the more beautiful cities in all of North America. Glad to have you with us on the Pontiac Performance Halftime Report. You know, Herbie was talking about how much fun 4 downs is with you.
Yeah.
He just does it in small segments, Desmond. I live 4 downs.
Oh, come on. You gotta love it.
Before we get to college football later in this halftime, baseball is rolling, and we're coming down the stretch in pennant races right now, particularly in the wild card races. Desperate times for some teams involved in there, including the Fightins. Philadelphia Phillies and Braves scoreless in the ninth when former Brave Michael Tucker, and again, Michael's played just about everywhere. He's former everything. Knocks in the go-ahead run, and then, oh, Shane, come back, Shane. Shane Victorino, a 3-run shot off of Tim Hudson, who was still in there, and the Fightins, oh, happy day. beat the Braves 4-0. Houston and Pittsburgh, Lance Berkman delivering for the Astros. That would be your wild card leading Astros, knocking in Willie Taveras with the go-ahead run. That worked so well, Houston figured they might as well try it again. Again, Berkman with a base knock. Astros beat the Pirates by a count of 2-1. So Philadelphia is hanging in there. Philadelphia is 5 behind Atlanta in the East, but only 2 games behind the Astros in the National League wildcard race. Don Trell and the Marlins trying to hang in at 4.5 back. In the American League, the Red Sox are off tonight, so the Yankees' lead in the East will be a full game if they hold on to this lead. Indians leading the wild card by 1 game. They're only 2.5 back in the Central. Indians on top of the Royals, and the White Sox are scoreless with the Twins and Johan Santana. Still to come on the Pontiac Performance Halftime Report, LSU and Tennessee. We'll get you up to date on that game and visit with the Bayou Bengals head coach, Les Miles.
Performance Halftime Report.
We're at the break, Rice-Eccles Stadium in Salt Lake City. Brian Johnson's put on a show in the first half. His Utes on top of Air Force 31-21 at the half. The relentless hurricane season is once again threatening the Gulf Coast. People in Texas and some parts of Louisiana are evacuating as Hurricane Rita, now downgraded to a Category 4 storm, continues to threaten the coastline in Texas and Louisiana. It's also affecting the college football schedule once again. The Tennessee-LSU game set for Saturday night in Baton Rouge has been moved. Those 2 teams will play on Monday night, 7:30 Eastern Time. The game will be on ESPN2. The SEC made the decision after consulting with officials from both schools. And joining us now is the head coach at LSU, Les Miles. Les, what was it like waiting today to find out if you guys were going to play on Saturday or Monday?
Well, we continued with what was game week, and this was a Thursday, and we had a Thursday practice, finished it, and then our officials told us that the game had been moved to Monday night, and our guys initially were a little down. They'd like to have opened the season at home in our stadium on Saturday night, but I think they're looking forward to Monday Night Football.
What kind of challenge do you think it will be for you and your staff? I mean, guys sort of build toward a fever pitch. You've gotten late in the week now. Now you need to sort of even them out before getting them back up on Monday.
Well, there's always some things to do in game plan, and this will be a little longer week than normal. And we have a mature football team. Our guys are looking forward to playing, and you know they'll throttle it back a little. They'll look forward to a couple more days of preparation, and then the game on Monday night.
This has been a very difficult stretch of time for you personally, both as the coach at LSU and prior to that. One of your former players at Oklahoma State, Vernon Grant, was killed in a car crash, and then you've seen the devastation of Hurricane Katrina. How has that impacted the way you view your role as a leader of young men?
Well, I think that you know, football coach wears a bunch of different hats, and certainly compassion and understanding the what's going on, the real life experiences that your players are having are important. And I don't think that I certainly have done anything that anybody else wouldn't have done. I think that you know, you listen to your players and they tell you what they need. And certainly I've had an administration at a school that's been easy to represent and broaden their responsibilities and has done things that it's made it easy to be the head coach at LSU.
We've heard the stories, so many of your LSU players having friends and families in their homes, and I know the postponement of this game has changed things just a little bit, but what signs have you seen that some of the guys are getting at least close to a sense of normalcy?
Well, I think the school schedule, the afternoon practices, and I think that even though the people that have been you know, displaced from New Orleans, having to make temporary arrangements, I think the movement out of the homes and the apartments of our players into what would be temporary arrangements and temporary dwellings until they get back to New Orleans is happening. And our guys are smiling a lot now. It's school and Baton Rouge is normal.
Once you get to walk out on that field finally in your home opener, first game at home as LSU's head coach, what do you expect that atmosphere to be like in Tiger Stadium Monday night?
Well, I'm told that it's an experience that is a very unique one, and that the passion that surrounds LSU football is second to none. I hope all of our friends and supporters are there. It's certainly something this football team's looking forward to.
Les, we're looking forward to Monday night. Best of luck to you, and continued good luck with all the problems you guys have had at LSU.
Thanks, Reese.
You know, it seems to be a very wise move by the Southeastern Conference, too, exercising all caution to make sure not only that the players are safe and the Tennessee players are safe, and Phil Fulmer told me yesterday he was very concerned about the weather, make sure the fans are safe, too. But when they finally do play this game, and it ought to be a terrific game on Monday night, Desmond, I've got to indoctrinate Desmond. You must be sound in the kicking game, right, Mayday?
Yeah, both of these teams should be sound in the kicking team, but one is much better. And that was their last game. If you look at LSU against Arizona State, they were extremely sound in the kicking game. 2 blocked kicks for scores against Arizona State. 1 fake punt for a huge first down. They were extremely sharp in their first game of the season. Now, on the other side of the coin, Tennessee's game against Florida, not so much. A botched opportunity on a fake punt. They had a field goal block, and they also muffed a punt. If you look at this game and break it down, both teams are very solid, yes, on offense and on defense. But to me, if it comes down to special teams, LSU has a huge advantage in this game.
Well, Fulmer took all the blame for Britton Colquitt checking to that fake punt, saying that wasn't the time to do it. So he tried to straighten that out. Trying also to get straightened out is the LSU defense under coordinator Bo Pelini. Now, they gave up a ton of yards against Arizona State.
Yes, they did. They gave up 560 yards, which is really unheard of from a defense that were ranked number 3 in the nation last year under Nick Saban. I guess the biggest difference now is that they're playing a lot more zone and they're blitzing a little less. The players say that, well, with Nick Saban's high possibility defense, he would call 3 plays. They will react to whatever the offense did, so it took a lot of thinking. But now this Bo Pelini system, which is supposed to be a little simpler, was really torched by Arizona State in the first game. We know it's early, but you still have to tighten things up because now you have Tennessee coming in there Monday night, and they're going to be very hungry.
Better start thinking some more. If thinking lets you stop people, you better start thinking a little bit more.
I agree.
Texas A&M and Texas State moved their game from Saturday to tonight, and the Aggies perhaps sleepwalking a little bit early, only up 3-0 midway through the first quarter, so Fran called a fake field goal and Chad Schrader scored.
You must be sound in the kicking game.
Whoa, look out, Chad, safe. Chad Schrader perhaps in honor of the wild card race is sliding as he got there to the edge, and A&M now early in the second quarter with a 13-0 lead. Louisiana Monroe and Florida Atlantic, game over on ESPNU, just about to start the second half. Each team looking for their first win of the season. They're tied at 14. 31-21, both teams, Utah and Air Force, have put on an offensive show. We'll have the Pontiac game-changing performance of the week when we come back.
The Pontiac Performance Halftime Report is powered by Pontiac. Nominate your game-changing performance at ESPN.com. Keyword Pontiac. Performance Halftime Report.
Each week we deliver the Pontiac game-changing performance, and this week it comes from the Alabama-South Carolina game as Keith Brown takes the pass from Brody Coyle, shakes a couple of tackles, and houses it. Tide never looked back after that. It broke the tie, and they went on to win 37-14.
That was it. Out of all those spectacular plays, the game was a blowout.
78% of the people voted.
Where'd you go to school? All your friends down now.
I am on scholarship with ESPN. Let me tell you how this works, though. The Tyrone Pro Throw play was so great last week. The people at Alabama who were locked into their computer science programs, they wanted to get $10,000 donated to the General Scholarship Fund, $5,000 last week and $5,000 this week.
Now that's some smart
students going to the General Scholarship Fund at the University of Alabama. If you see a Pontiac game-changing performance, you can nominate it at ESPN.com. Just search the word Pontiac. It is Coyle to Brown in a blowout, winning the Pontiac game-changing performance this week. Not yet having a Pontiac game-changing performance, but it has been a sparkling one so far for Utah's Brian Johnson. He's got the Utes on top by 10.
The Pontiac Performance Halftime Report is powered by Pontiac. Nominate your game-changing performance at ESPN.com. Keyword Pontiac.
Airport was set for the third quarter. Before that, Aaron Andrews with Fisher DeBerry.
Well, Coach, Utah's offense gained over 260 yards in that first half. What adjustments do you guys look to make on defense?
Well, we're going to have to do a little better job with those passes down the middle right there. And our free safeties are going to have to react a little better. We're going to have to get our linebackers a little deeper in there, but we got to tackle a little bit better. We've been in position so many times to make plays that we just haven't done the job finishing and tackling, and that's what we got to do. Simple fundamental. That's all we got to do is tackle. They hadn't stopped us on offense. We stopped ourselves. We got ourselves in trouble with the kicking game. We'll get all that corrected. You'll see the best half of football that Air Force will play this year.
We're looking forward to it, Coach. Thanks.
Did you see Aaron's face? Aaron's face is priceless in that. Like, I'll go, Coach.
She's ready to cover the kickoff here to start the second half.
Oh,
he's
great.
Fired up. Boy, Fisher DeBerry, he's all over it.
He's one of the best. National Coach of the Year at 85, 67 years old. Loves being around these young men who represent the academy. And he has done a great job representing so many cadets and on through honored folks who've come through the Air Force Academy as well. No return for Castile as Utah will begin this third quarter from its own 20-yard line. Well, let's look, Kirk, at a little bit of what he was talking about.
Well, the safeties we talked about here, the safeties are getting to the outside. It's opening up the middle of the field for Brian Johnson, and Utah took advantage. A little play action, finding the window. Latondras all day. A little out move against the linebacker. Nice throw after the turnover by Brian Johnson for the touchdown. This is something that they've been able to capitalize on, and if they're going to get the linebackers deep, they're going to leave themselves susceptible to the underneath throw from Brian Johnson to the running back. So that'll be an interesting matchup here in the second half to watch.
Quite a first half for Brian Johnson, putting up those 31 points, and the first down, first carry is a Quinton Ganther run for 3 yards to the 23. Let's check out the numbers. That 500-plus yard first half. Air Force able to run it as usual. 145 on pace for well above their average. Balance out of Utah as well. Each team turned it over once and just one penalty. How wonderful is that? 2nd and 7, a four-man rush against Johnson, but plenty of cushion to complete it to Latondras. They're going to mark it where his forward progress was. That's a first down at the 32. John Tybee there on the tackle. Mr. Herbstreit, Home Depot coaching adjustments.
Well, you have to disrupt Johnson's rhythm. He has had a great night tonight throwing the football, 14 of 16 at this point. If you have to pressure him, bring the blitz package, try to mix up the looks. And then for Utah, their defense, they have to take away the fullback. I mean, the adjustments are pretty obvious. It's on the defensive side of the ball for both teams after watching that first half.
Long swing out to Brent Castile. The freshman pursued by Nelson Mitchell, who finished up the business that was started by John Raybould. We've called a lot of the third linebacker out of Newton, North Carolina. So much four-down lineman this year thus far for Air Force that we didn't think we'd see much of Raybould, but he's played a lot because they've played a lot of three-down linemen in the game here tonight.
Utah needs to stop going to the side and continue to attack with their passing game upfield. Look at the holes in the zone. When you get spread out as a defense, all the holes in the windows that Brian Johnson has to choose from right into the middle of that defense.
Johnson lost that football. They're going to say incomplete pass. It looked like he was trying to throw it as he was tied up by Raybould again.
Well, that time Air Force had a three-man look, and as the ball was snapped, they brought the fourth, and it created a little bit of confusion on the right side of the Utah offensive line. And you had a defender slip through at the very last second. They have a three-man look, and then right there, the linebacker comes clean. That was confusion on the right side and enabled Air Force, without really blitzing, to be able to put pressure there and still play zone in the back.
3rd and 9. Johnson has time this time. In the middle, intercepted. Castile couldn't hold on to it, and Bobby Giannini comes up with his second interception of the year. And Air Force does the job to stem the momentum with its defense.
Well, Mike, Utah gave Air Force a play there because the routes cleared open the middle once again. Look at the opening through the middle. Brian Johnson, this is pitch and catch. Castile has to hold on to that football. It's an interception for Air Force, but again, Utah with an opportunity to continue to convert passes through the middle of that Air Force defense. They caught a break there.
Jacoby Kendrick, the fullback. A quick snap and a pass that was incomplete. It was never possessed by Justin Handley, the halfback for Air Force. Air Force has defeated Washington this year 20-17 and San Diego State 41-29. They lost to Wyoming by 1 last week. That's how they're 2-1.
Like we talked a lot about it in the first half, how the offense for Air Force, the tone is set by getting the fullback established. But this year's Air Force attack with Carney, there's more passing from this offense this year.
2 wide receivers set and try the middle again with Kendrick, and that time the Utah front is stout to it, and we'll have 3rd down coming up. We talked about their ability to run the ball over the years under Fisher DeBerry. 29 points a game on average. Really one of the schools that just has stuck to this triple option principle, and it has worked so well, in part because they need to do something different. They don't have the same athletes. They don't have as much time to put into football as some of the other schools do. 20-hour rule or not, these guys have such a long day with their requirements for being cadets at the Air Force Academy. It's a system that has worked very well for 2 decades. His throw on 3rd down is incomplete. It was intended for Greg Kirkwood, and 4th down, so a couple of short offensive possessions, self-induced by Utah, defense-induced by Air Force.
A little mix-up between Carney and Kirkwood that time on the route. He actually had time there and a drop back, which is rare to see from Air Force, but on 3rd and 10 just dropped back, had time, and just not on the same page with the receiver.
Last punt blocked, punt before that muffed, turned into a turnover. High and short from Heaton. Weddle let it bounce, and the bounce worked for Utah. It was down by Mark Carlson. Utes will take over their own 23 when you come back to Salt Lake City.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by MasterCard. Log on to ESPN.com. Keyword MasterCard for the Fan Addict Showdown. And Ruby Tuesday. Try one of our 30 famous burgers. Only at Ruby Tuesday. So good.
No better mascot for the Air Force than the Falcon. Falcons can exceed 200 miles an hour. Powerful, graceful, and Kirk was pointing out they have about 8 times sharper eyesight than man. Could use a Falcon driving with us on Wednesday nights. Thursday night road trips. 1st and 10 for Utah. The handoff for Quinton Ganther. He was banged up last week, gains a couple of yards against the banged up Utah or Air Force defense, Aaron.
That's right, Mike. Right now they're missing 2 key seniors on their defense. First of all, Overton Spence, he hasn't been in the game since late in the 1st quarter, suffering from a contusion on his right thigh. You can see he's trying to walk around, getting it loose up. We're trying to find out if he's going to get back in the game. And then Russ Mitcherling, he suffered a left ankle sprain last week versus Wyoming. He's on crutches right now. He is done for the night.
Grant Thomas has played most of the way inside for Air Force. Mitcherling, one of the captains, so a big loss. Play action, Johnson going deep. Flag thrown for pass interference. Latondras, the intended receiver. Carson Bird out of Georgia was there on the coverage and did a little too much.
Well, the corners from Air Force are being isolated on the outside just because of the nature of the offense and what you're asked to do. And that time, Carson Bird, if you're going to put your arms like that, up like that, you at least have to turn your head. If you don't turn your head back, you're going to get called every time because you look guilty. I mean, you just look like you've been beaten and you're trying to catch up with the wide receiver. And we'll see how much contact there is, but he doesn't even turn his head back. That's definitely pass interference. But if you ever want to get away with one, you can get your hands up and just turn your head back. Make an attempt to make it look like you're trying to make a play instead of just trying to catch up to the wide receiver.
Never the worst penalty in college football. In the NFL, it'd be down at the plus 30-yard line. Instead, it's down here at the minus 40 or your own 40, to use the coach's terms. Johnson with Ganther behind him. Just keep throwing it. Why not? See if they can cover it. Down the middle. Touchdown, Utah. Brian Hernandez, 60 yards. We can't keep up with him. Why not go deep again?
Mike, we've talked the entire game about Kyle Whittingham, his offensive attack. Andy Ludwig, the offensive coordinator, one of the things that they liked coming into the game was their receivers going up against the safeties and linebackers of Air Force. We've seen it the entire game. Brian Johnson has had a great night, but give the offensive line credit for giving him time and the scheme credit for finding the holes that they've been able to exploit. And as we've been saying over and over, it's been over the middle of the defense. Fisher to Barry told Aaron Andrews coming out for the second half, we have to stop the plays down the middle of the field. This is a great move to the outside. Look at Hernandez set up Giannini. Little outside move. He broke his ankles. And once he made that move, that's an easy touchdown for Utah. And right now, Mike, Brian Johnson is on fire on Thursday Night Football.
Football primetime presented by Cooper Tires, 38-21. It's high-scoring Mountain West affair. These teams usually play very close games. Air Force going to have to do some work to get it a little bit closer here tonight. Ben Vroman, the true freshman without a name on his back. His kickoff is short. Returnable by the opposite 85, Greg Kirkwood. Pulled down by the arm of Martell Burnett as he returned it out to the 34, and Herbie takes us back to the touch.
Mike, I just have to review this. Number one, the quarterback, to be able to throw this long a pass, needs time. Look at that offensive line, and then look at the poor safety, Giannini. Watch the move here by Hernandez to set him up to the outside. When you see a defensive back turn his back completely, and Brian Johnson's already in motion, you have no chance. That's one that as soon as you make a move as a safety, you know, oh, please tell me the quarterback, oh, he did see it. Touchdown.
First down, they will run the option with Kip McCarthy. Only a couple out on the edge as Weddle and Evans, the two safeties, were over there to make the tackle. There's Giannini, who was shaken up earlier tonight. This Air Force defense has been shaken by the impressive Utah quarterback performance tonight from Brian Johnson. He's run for 3 touchdowns and thrown 2. Second and 8, a keep by Sean Carney, who is met in the hole by Grady Marshall. Marshall got the start against Arizona, lost the starting job. So when he gets on the field, he wants to make an impact, and he forces third down there.
How often do you see when an offense scores and all of a sudden you see the defense flying around at a different level, but the fullback getting in 10 minutes to go in the third quarter, you can't get away from the importance of being able to establish those fullbacks, Kendrick and Williams, and setting up the other aspects. That's what the Air Force was able to do in the first half. And that's what they'll have to continue to do, even though they're down at this point.
Third down. The toss is well played again. The assignment football after that first drive, the first couple of drives, has been very good from Utah. Eric Weddle forces the punt.
Eric Weddle's job tonight, make sure he's reading, run, and then react and fill the alley. The quarterback is taken away by Burnett, and there's Eric Weddle. We've been saying it all night long. He turns the play back in to where the rest of the defense is. That was a big series there for Utah's defense.
Heaton to kick it. His best punt of the night is fair caught by Weddle. So back-to-back 3 and outs for the Air Force offense, and Utah up 17 in good position. Well, a win against Air Force started an 18-game winning streak for Utah that came to an end a week ago tonight in Fort Worth, losing to TCU. For some of the key players on this Utah team, like the quarterback Brian Johnson and the running back Quinton Ganther, it's the first time they've ever lost as Utah Utes. The 18-game win streak through the great season last year, number 4 in the nation, won the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl over Pittsburgh. Kyle Whittingham, the first-year head coach, had a be in a bounce-back situation for his first time as the leader of this team. So far, so good. Utah leading by 17. Johnson in trouble that time, and he's brought down. John Raybould continues to be the defensive performer of the night for Air Force.
Raybould went right through Quinton Ganther, who was trying to set up in pass protection. And that, a lot of times in this system, if running back is evaluated, one of the most important things for Ganther or anybody else is how is he doing pass protection? Is he able to pick up the end? Is he able to pick up the linebacker? For the most part, Ganther does a great job. At that time, Raybould went right through him and finally put some pressure on Brian Johnson. I'm surprised Air Force has continued to rush 3 or 4 and not try to bring some more blitzes to try to disrupt his rhythm and his timing.
Johnson will take a timeout here. That's the reason Ganther played through his injuries last week. The other running backs aren't as good in pass protection. It's important with a young quarterback like Johnson.